Thank you, Dr. Benjamin Büttner, for joining me for this interview about the 15-minute city. My name is Dr. George Liu from the University of Amsterdam. So it's good to have this collaboration on this interview, both of us in Paris today.
Yes.
So I'm very happy that we're able to meet here to talk about the 15-minute city. Now, I've noticed that Paris is a very polycentric city. So is there something that we can learn about the 15-minute city from the polycentric neighborhoods that we've experienced in Paris today?
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me, Dr. George Liu. It's a pleasure to be here with you in Paris. And you're totally right. That's a very important point, how our cities are structured. And you can see Paris, a fairly old city. And you can also see that with the different polycentric centers, we can already provide a large number of different activities. So that makes our life a bit easier when we compare it to other places that are more monocentric, which means basically they are focusing on one city center, and then everything gets sprawled out. And then by this we are also losing a density, which is one of the key ingredients in order to achieve a 15-minute city, or something that we like to call accessibility by proximity.
Now, you are going to interview Dr. Carlos Moreno later today.
Yeah.
And he is one of the pioneers of the 15-minute city.
That's correct.
So I was wondering, because you also do a lot of work on the 15-minute city, what attracted you to this area of study?
Very good point, George. May I call you George?
Yes, you may, please.
Okay. You can also call me Benjamin.
May I call you Benjamin?
Yes, of course. The 15-minute city is something that really brings me personally joy, out of one simple reason. Because I believe, to be honest, the concept is not something completely new, but it's something that speaks to people. So everyone, even my grandmother, if I would tell her 15-minute city, she has an idea about this. So everyone has a different approach when it comes to 15 minutes, because 15 minutes from you and me might be similar, but if I take a look at my grandmother, the 15 minutes are shrinking in a catchment. So that means for us it might be around 1,000 meters, and for my grandma it might shrink to 700, 600 meters. However, she has an idea what she can access within that catchment, in that time frame. And that's something that for me was very interesting, because you can immediately start a conversation with her. So what are the things that she wants to have close by? What are the things that she needs to have close by? Like an ATM for money, or a pharmacy to get some pills, and a supermarket to get bread, and so on and so forth. So I believe that the 15-minute city concept brought in a general public to the debate, which is very needed in our field. And we tried to achieve similar things with accessibility planning. So basically, a 15-minute city incorporates accessibility by proximity. However, this might sound much too technical, so people are not really aware of what we're talking about if we use these kind of terms. So the 15-minute city really speaks to people. So that's the beauty of it. And engaging with all kind of people, I think, is something that we need to do in order to make a change.
It's very insightful. Now, on that point, I was thinking, based on the different modes that people take within a city. So my field of research is on cycling. Makes sense. Amsterdam, the cycling city. That impacts how far a 15-minute city is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So what observations do you have about this 15-minute city and the relationship to the modes available to the people, whether that's public transit, driving, cycling, walking?
Yeah. I think that's crucial. So it's a crucial point. I believe we should start with looking at walking as our first thing to see, because walking at the end of the day is still the most inclusive mode of transport. Not everyone is able to cycle. Some people might be scared of cycling. Some people are not used to cycle. So if we look at immigrants in Germany, the cycling rate is very low because they come from a different cultural background. So we also have then to teach them and to make them feel comfortable, but we also have to provide safe infrastructure to do so. This is often still lacking in our cities. That's why we should acknowledge this. And then you also mentioned public transportation. And public transportation can also help us to debunk a bit the myth that the 15-minute city concept is something where we're all trapped in a 15-minute prison. Some conspiracy theorists are pushing this at the moment. So the idea is that we are able to access all kind of basic needs or essentials. We have the opportunity, but we are also fine going to other places, ideally by public transportation, because this is the most sustainable way of moving in our cities.
I have one more for you,
Yes.
and that relates to the course that you're putting together and the report that you've put together and that's already released on the internet.
Yep.
And that question for you is what is the message that you want to send to the world about the 15-minute city amongst all the disinformation going about on the internet these days?
I believe the main message is that we should listen to people. So I think that's key. So for instance, us academics, we are not very good at this, to be honest. However, we developed some tools. We call one tool the flowers of proximity, where we have a very simple exercise where everyone can draw their own flower. So each of the flower petal represents one main characteristic of the 15-minute city. And the different users can draw their flowers according to their needs. For instance, if I need to have a supermarket close by, I will put a dot there and make a very small flower petal because it should be accessible within 4 minutes, just to give an example. However, I might not need a theater or a cinema close by, so this might be in 25 minutes accessible for me personally, that's okay. So this will be a huge flower petal. By this easy way of visualizing it, we can already discuss how my flower looks different to your flower. And then we can discuss why is that, how can we design our I would say, most livable, our ideal neighborhood. And this can be done with the two of us, but we could also invite older people, people with mobility disabilities, and see how their flower looks. So I think this is very interesting to see. We did the exercise with different cities. We did it for Munich, for the region of Munich, and for the city of Munich. Even there were major differences of the flowers. But then we also compared it to Milan, to London, to Ghent, and so on and so forth. And by that you can also point out the local context and the different needs of places. And this should be acknowledged.
Wow, that sounds like a great way to visually represent people's travel freedom, if I may.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing the different flowers that the students of this online course will come up with.
Yes, same here.
I look forward to the release of this online course.
Very excited about this as well. Thank you very much, George.
Thank you very much, Benjamin.
Yeah.